Is Dead by Daylight dying? Hello friends, I'm DasFood, and that is the question of the day. So, if you have been in this community for a long time, you know that this is something that pops up every now and then, where all of a sudden it seems like the community is convinced that Dead by Daylight is going the way of the dodo, it is in danger, it's going down, 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 just call me smooth. It's done, right? But is that actually true? So what kicked this off? Firstly, it was a video by Spookinjukes. I encourage you to watch it yourself and formulate your own opinions, but he titled it Rant, Dead by Daylight is dying. And in this video, before I get to what's in the video, I want to say this got 61,000 views. And then Scott Jund, another big DBD content creator, made a reply video to that got 60,000 views. So these are getting a lot of traction, and naturally it's shaking up the Twitter realm of DBD and the Reddit realm and, you know, all the places where the dregs of society is, you know, where they hang out. And now people are kind of back at this part where they say, okay, so is Dead by Daylight actually dying? Is that something that's going to happen? And I want to come out here, and I'm not going to jerk you around. I would hope not. I'm not going to tease my thoughts on this. I'm going to come out and say, no, I don't think it is. I decidedly do not think Dead by Daylight is dying, and I'm going to give you my reasons. So what I want to do, though, is I want to go through what Spookinjukes said, and I want to kind of refute his points, but weirdly enough, I kind of want to refute them while also sort of agreeing with them. And it's kind of this interesting thing we have to walk, because I don't think that he's necessarily wrong with everything he said. I really don't. I think there was some truth in his video. I'm not going to play his video because, honestly, if you want to watch it, go give him the view. I think, you know, why not? That'd be awesome. But for me, for my personal taste, so look, let me click into my document here. Okay. He broke it down to 3 things. He said, here are the 3 things killing Dead by Daylight. And those things were hackers, what he called, quote unquote, Scheisse content, I'm paraphrasing, and then a player base that was just excessively toxic, kind of just almost just a mean-spirited loser player base, right? He didn't use the word loser. I use that word because, you know, I mean, if you're mean-spirited for no reason, yeah, well. Okay, so are those true though? Is that actually what's killing the game? Is the game being killed? Well, first off, let's go through those. So let's start with hackers. I don't disagree entirely. So right now we are having a huge issue with the DDoS situation, and so I want to give Behaviour credit, right? Because it was about probably this time last year that cheaters were out of hand. Now, for those of you who don't know, cheaters, hackers, totally different things. They're not the same things. Somebody who goes online and, you know, they buy a little program so that they can auto dead hard every time the killer's about to swing and hit them. That sucks, and it's not fun to go against, but that's a cheater, not a hacker. They didn't hack anything. The hackers are these DDoSers who, if you don't know, and look, I had to do some research into it because I'm not a tech guy, so apparently a DDoS is just when you target someone's IP address and you flood their internet so that they can't, you know, they can't stream, they can't play games, they can't do anything. You crash their internet, essentially, which, look, that's probably a very barbaric and crude understanding of it, but that's how I understand it. So obviously a lot of streamers in particular are being targeted, but we are now getting reports of non-streamers getting hit with DDoS attacks. And I will say, it makes it a little intimidating to play the game when you know you may be hit with a DDoS attack just because some tool out there doesn't want you to have fun. They just want to ruin your day. That is crappy. Now, the reason I only somewhat agree with the hackers killing the game is because there was a time where it really seemed like the cheaters were getting out of hand, and Behaviour did a great job of saying, okay, we hear you, we see this, we can't talk about it very openly, because if we talk about it openly, they're gonna know what we're up to as well. And I can't do that. We can't do that. We can't let them know what we're working on. Just know it's our promise that we're working on it. And by golly, I don't know about you, but I don't see many cheaters anymore. I'm not going to say I haven't seen any. What was it, probably like 2 weeks ago or something, I got something where people were crouching around the map but moving at what looked like 200% speed. So yeah, they're still there, but my goodness, it used to be if I was doing like an 8-hour stream or something, you know, I would see at least one cheater while doing that. Now, again, I have to go back 2 or 3 weeks to think of the last time I saw a cheater, and even then before that, you gotta go back months. So they crack down on cheaters, that's a good thing. So while the hacker situation is a problem, and it's scary, I'm not saying it's not scary, and it needs to be solved ASAP. ASAP as possible. I think it will be. I think they realize how dangerous this situation is, and I think they'll get on top of it. So, kind of agree, but I don't think hackers are killing the game yet. I think there is a window in which behavior can and should act, and I think they will. I hope they will. If they don't, we may look back on this one as the part where I say, man, I got that wrong. They did not get that under control. But I think they will. So, what else? The bad content. And again, not entirely wrong, but this one in particular is not entirely fair. So, if you saw my recent video where I broke down DBD by its years, you know that they have their own year release cycle. It always starts around June, it's the anniversary chapter, and then it goes to about, March or so is when you're going to get the last chapter of that year. So, year 7 is what we're just now coming out of. Once we get this next mid-chapter update, we're going to come out of year 7 and start preparing for year 8, which is crazy, by the way. Crazy that's been around this long, but I digress. So, year 7 had 2 great chapters, and not just great, I would say all-time great chapters. And then it also had 2 that were fairly poorly received. So, Roots of Dread, Project W, yeah, those were pretty good. Those were pretty good, right? And we'll actually kind of circle back to them, I think, in a minute, because there's something I want to point out with that. But for the time being, yes, I think people agree. Maybe you don't like the Garden of Joy. I don't like the Garden of Joy. I think it looks nice, but I don't like playing on it. Most people like Hattie. Most people like the Dredge. Most people love Wesker. Ada, Rebecca. It's great. It's all great, right? And it made the RPD map more playable. Great. Good stuff. Really, really good chapters. And then after that, what you got was Tools of Torment and Forged in Fog, which is the Knight and the Skull Merchant. And even those, people are saying, oh, these are 2 of the worst chapters of all time. I don't agree with that. I'm not going to say that they're inherently... I'm not going to say that that they're great chapters, but just to be fair, right? I've been very open. I don't like Vittorio, but a lot of people do, and he was a survivor in the Forged in Fog chapter. I think most people, maybe I'm wrong, would really like the Shattered Square, the Knight's map, if it was shrunk down a little bit and made to be a little less bright so that people's eyes weren't hurt, right? There's the bones of a good map there. And then you look at the Skull Merchants chapter. Again, not my cup of tea, not necessarily something I'm excited for, but some people are. Some people really like this killer. A lot of people really like the twins. I always call them the twins. I don't even know if they're twins. They're siblings. I'm going to start calling them the siblings, right? The Brazilian siblings, Talita, and I believe it's pronounced Renato, but I don't know if that's accurate or not. Anyway, people like them. People like the rework to Shelter Woods. So even these 2 new chapters, newest chapters, are they the best that we've ever seen? No. I don't think they're the worst, though. I mean, you compare that to something like, I don't know, Binding of Kin, where most people didn't like the killer, almost nobody plays the survivor, and there wasn't a new map. Like that, to me, that's objectively a worse chapter. Even though I love the twins, the killer twins. I think they're great. So this whole thing that, it's terrible content that's killing the game, I don't agree with that. I do not agree with that, even though I agree that we had 2 underwhelming chapters come out back to back, but not terrible, kill the game bad type of chapters. Lastly, it's the player base. The player base is killing the game. This is the one I have the most sympathy for, because I do understand that the DBD player base is a very unique ecosphere, right? Ecosphere? I don't think that's even a word. Ecosystem. Ecosystem is what I was trying to say. I'm Shakespeare. I'm out here making up words. So it's the ecosystem of the DBD community is very strange, and it definitely has its bad actors. I would never deny that, but I do think there are communities that are far, far, far worse than the Dead by Daylight community. So I used to play a lot of Rainbow Six Siege. I loved the game, but ultimately that community was so mean-spirited. The pleasant players were so few and far between that I just didn't want to keep playing. It was a game where your own teammates are constantly talking trash to you, the other team is talking trash to you, and honestly, off the top of my head, if I'm talking about times I played, not with friends, I'm talking playing lobbies of complete strangers and people were nice to me, it would be, I remember one time I got an ace, you know, where you kill everybody on the other team. I popped off and got an ace, and my team was like really supportive, and there was one guy left there, like, oh, Food, you can do it. Come on, we're gonna leave him to you. Come on, finish the ace. Great feeling. But it's notable that I played that game for as much time as I played it, and I can think of like one nice moment. Toxic community. League of Legends. Toxic community. Oh my gosh. I mean, it's a legendarily toxic community, right? You look around, you can find more toxic communities. I actually put Dead by Daylight less on the less on that League of Legends Rainbow Six Siege type tier of toxicity, and I actually would put it more in it. You're gonna laugh at me for this. You're gonna laugh. Okay, I'm gonna prepare for this. I know I'm gonna hear about this in the comments. I put it more on like the Minecraft level of toxicity, where most of what's really toxic isn't happening in the game. It's happening outside of the game, on social media. That's where you get the really degenerate stuff. That's where you get the people saying and doing horrid things. And you may disagree and say, oh, well, in Minecraft, nobody's hitting me on the hook. Who cares? Who cares about getting hit on the hook? You're fine. You're okay. I promise. Oh, they teabagged. Oh, they kept fast vaulting to annoy me. Okay, that's not a big deal. I promise you, you're gonna be all right. And I know that sounds so condescending, but that's because you gotta realize if you're, oh my gosh, if your biggest issue with the game is that sometimes people are a little, you know, they want to instigate. Okay, that's not a huge deal. I don't think. I don't think that being hit on the hook, I don't think that being slugged, tunneled, I don't think that gen rushers. That's my favorite. Gen rushing. You mean they did the objective? That's hilarious. You know, how dare they? You know, I don't think a lot of actual toxicity happens in the game. Maybe some bad manners are shown, some BM, right? But in terms of actual toxicity, certifiable toxicity, no, I don't think so. I really don't think so. Maybe you disagree, but I think most of the degenerate stuff. So, for example, let's take Spook and Jukes. Spook and Jukes, not that he's toxic. I'm saying recently a clip of him has been going around, and it's bringing out a lot of people in DBD Twitter to absolutely try to just dumpster the man. And you have people that are calling him, I don't want to get demonetized, so we're going to say they're calling him a Freddy Krueger, if you know what I mean, if you connect those dots. You know, what did Freddy do in the 2010 remake that wasn't very cool? Some people have said the same thing about Spook and Jukes, which is, it's completely unsubstantiated. It's not true. So that's the kind of stuff that's toxic, because that can hurt people. That can ruin livelihoods. That's the kind of stuff that I say, okay, that's not cool. So I agree with the general premise that there are problems in the DBD community. I do. But I do not agree that it's to the point that that's what's killing the game. Yes, there is an us versus them element to Dead by Daylight that will always make things a little tense between survivor mains and killer mains. Even if you are one of those based few, and by few I actually mean the majority, who play both roles, because shocker, most people play both roles, yeah, you're going to kind of have your preferences. I generally play more survivor than killer these days, but I tend to be a little more sympathetic to the killers. That's just me. Maybe you're the other way around. Okay, we're all going to have our preferences. It's like anything else in life. But I don't think it's enough to actually kill the game. So, talking about killing the game, I want to flash back a year. So I've covered the points, right? I want to flash back a year. This may surprise you, but it was about the same time last year. I actually looked. You can go back. You can find videos. One of mine, by the way, called DBD's Not Dead Yet. And it's got like a picture of a hand going down in the water. At the time, I was far more reactionary than I am now. I've mellowed in my ancient age. But you go back this time last year, and people are talking about Dead by Daylight. They're talking about, oh, it's bleeding players. It's going down. It's going down. It's not going to make it. And then what happened? What happened after that? Because look, you can look at it right now and say that currently there are 30,000, well, roughly, I'm rounding, 30,000 fewer players on Steam right now than there were at DBD's peak. Because there were 62,488 in July of 2021. This was the, what was it, year 6 anniversary, year 5 maybe anniversary, and the release of the first Resident Evil chapter. So huge, huge time for them. Right now, they're about 33,561 playing. So that's about a 30,000 player drop, and you could say, oh my gosh, it's cut in half. It's cut in half. The game's dying. Yeah, but there currently there are only about 1,000 fewer average players on Steam currently than there were at this time last year, which was around the time of the Sadako release. And people were saying the game was dying around that time too, but what happened? I said we were going to circle back to this, right? I said, hold it in mind, because what happened? Roots of Dread happened. The largest increase in the player base of all time. 17,000 new players. Sure, some of them were probably returning, I'm not denying that, but 17,000 new active players. And then what happened after that? Project W, another ironic, massive W for the game. So I don't look at this and say that right now Dead by Daylight is in an Imp Lemon style downward spiral. This is not the death spiral. We are not trapped in the jaws of the crocodile and it's getting ready to do the death roll. We're not there. I think right now we're just in a bit of a slump. And I said that in a recent video. I said there are peaks and valleys. And brother, right now we're in a valley. Those were my exact words. Yeah, we're in a valley, but we're gonna reach a peak soon. We have the anniversary coming up. And you may say, oh, Food is huffing that copium. How much is Behavior paying you for this? You should know, I don't think Behavior likes me very much. I used to be a very critical content creator. I don't think they like me, personally. If they even know I exist, because I'm not that big of a content creator, right? Okay, I'm just trying to be realistic. We are going to get something big for the anniversary. Whether that is an OG chapter that they know we're going to go crazy for, like a werewolf or a vampire or something like that, or we're about to get something huge, license related, Alien, Five Nights at Freddy's, Friday the 13th. Maybe Candyman finally arrives, because that doesn't sit right with me. I was so certain that was going to happen. It just feels like it's got to happen, right? At some point, we're going to get something big. The anniversary is going to bounce back. And if it doesn't, maybe then we have these conversations. Maybe then we say 3 chapters in a row that the community wasn't feeling. I'm a big baseball fan. And you know, 3 strikes and you're out, right? Now this isn't baseball. This is hockey. All Dead by Daylight fans know this is hockey. So 3 strikes don't matter here. But I just wanted to make this video to say, I understand people's concern. I do. I feel them. I am right here with you and I'm hoping for a great chapter. But I disagree. I disagree strongly that the game is currently quote unquote dying. Now look, I realize. Right now, when you look at the Spook and Jukes thing, he probably titled that what he titled it because that's a headline that grabs you. Oh, Dead by Daylight's dying. Look, people do this. They do it in news. They do it, you know, in books. You always try to hype things up to get more people. I get that, but I could not disagree more with the title. Dead by Daylight is not dying. Dead by Daylight is actually currently in a pretty decent spot. So that's going to do it for me. Let me know down below because this is going to be a fun topic. I can't wait to hear if you disagree with me. Again, make sure you go over, you watch the, in the very least, watch the Spook and Jukes video. And if you want, go watch the Scott Jund one as well, because actually I thought it was a pretty fun reply. And apparently, Spook and Jukes has made a reply to Scott's reply. So, man, content season is just in full swing. I'll probably watch that one shortly. But anyway, I hope you guys are having a lovely day. And wherever you are, I hope things are just going super well for you. I hope you're just looking around, you know, enjoying nature. Go out in nature. Enjoy yourself. But until then, I've been DustFood. Bye, friends.
I've been dreaming on in my head like I've seen it. A life worth living is a life with meaning. I'll do what I love till my heart stops beating. I'm feeding this demon. Got a taste, can't erase bitterness in my